To the program Perspective on ITV. On this program, we look on a variety of issues with profiling solutions. Last week, we were here on the program, of course. This week, back here. My name is Chuka Nguhai. On this week's episode, I will be looking at strictly the impact of street begging in our society in the 21st century, and of course, where we find ourselves as a nation. The very recent, the Lagos State government passed an embargo on street begging, and of course, say they will be dealing decisively with the issue of street begging. And just in FCT here, recently also, the FCDA took it upon themselves going around all nook and crannies of the city, fishing out, as it concerns everything, social vices, things that could prompt up social vices in the city. With me today to discuss these issues on issue of the menace of street begging is none other than Director Social Welfare Department, Dr. Sani Ama. Doctor, welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ohai.
So, sir, let's go straight. Let's look at street begging. How do you, as somebody in the profession for a long time, of course, with experience, what do you think is really the cause and, of course, of having street begging, especially this part of the country? There are beggars all over the world. You agree with me? But in as much there are beggars, we still have the society, we still have the environment, we still have the social society taking care of these issues of begging. But in Africa, in Nigeria, a different scenario we see here. See lots of issues of begging out there, and of course, as you speak, in every state of the country, you find beggars, and of course, in large proportions. What is the cause? Let's start with this.
Thank you, Mr. Chooks. Street begging, as the name implies, people begging along the street. In the past, that was when the government of Nigeria, during the first republic, up to the Second Republic, somewhere before the Second Republic was, I may say, around 73, 45, when the native authority more or less have a kind of provision for the traditional rulers playing key role in governance. Begging, as per the northern part of Nigeria, initially it was those children that are from some rural areas brought into the city for this Islamic education, this Quranic education, in an Islamia, under a teacher who is not being paid by no one, neither government or the parent of the children. Nobody is paying him anything. The child will be handed over to the malam, and the boy will be there. He has to go out to fend for himself. That is paid for food. But in those days, these children used to have kind of godfathers. Some house that they will be working some menial job for them. And then at the end of the day, they will collect food, and sometimes even the people that will even sew some clothes, especially during some festival period. But in the recent past, begging became a business. Before, people with disability, before the enlightenment of there is ability in disability, whereby people with certain disability learn some skills for self-reliance. So people in some localities, in some societies, or in some communities, I can say, when somebody happened to be born or became a disabled either by accident or by sickness, the only thing they will look at that person, that nothing that person can do, even to go to school in some localities. They don't look at it as it, but rather the child or the man, in this case, would only resort to begging. But with enlightenment and civilization, people begin to understand that if you have certain disability, that does not mean that you cannot do anything. Yes, you can do it. With that advocacy of ability in disability, now today, if you look at on our city streets, 90% of the beggars are able-bodied, not disabled, especially in Abuja here. If you go to some of the clusters where we have persons with disability settlement, you discover that they have different kind of skills that they have learned, which they are equally doing to sustain themselves and support their family. But begging now became a business. Some people do as a kind of attitude. Their mindset is a kind of laziness, depending on someone. Raising prices to some people. In fact, to a certain extent, some of them resort to do a kind of cosmetic, makeup, just in order to pretend as if they have certain sickness, in order to cash on public sympathy and extort money and exploitation. Because they have seen it as something lucrative, that you don't have to invest any capital. The only capital is the way you post, you force yourself to the public. You just have one corner, sit down, pretend as if you are sick, you are this, you are that. Just depending on you, raise your hand for somebody to keep you. What I understand on the Islamic perspective, begging has no place in Islam. It's not religious. I heard from different scholars, Islamic scholars, that if you have what to eat in the next hours, you have no reason to beg now. Not even what to eat tomorrow. If you have what to eat in the next hour, let's say you ate in the morning, and you have what to eat in the afternoon and the evening hour for that day, you have no reason to beg. You can only beg in a situation whereby you are a traveler and all your provisions, including finances, due to certain circumstances, you lost it and you have nobody, nowhere, no contact, and nothing for you to dispose to generate money for you to continue your journey. Then you can solicit for assistance temporarily,
Doctor,
but not as the way people made it as business.
Okay, let's look at the effect, the impact of this begging, and as well as let's look at the effort being put in by this administration, and of course, let's look at the impact, of course, of the begging, and let's look at the effort generally being put in by this administration. Looking at the impact, we will have to look at the root cause of that, and of course, and knowing how to go by it. But let's look at the impact and look at the effort being put in by this administration in the FCT, first of all.
Thank you. For what to talk about the impact, as you said, there is the need for somebody to look at what are the root causes. Many years back, as I said earlier, before people became enlightened and became well civilized in terms of understanding the need for somebody to fend for himself, for self-reliance, people with certain disabilities are just left to beg. But the orientation and educational civilization, people understand that no matter the kind of disability you have, you can still learn something, either intellectually or something. You use your skills, your hands, because there are so many things that person with athlete does. For instance, in our own center in Buhari, the coordinator there is paraplegic. He's on wheelchair. In fact, he trained able bodies on metal law fabrication. At the center, he's our team leader in terms of psychosocial therapy. His name is Comrade Balaz Ohamusa. He's paraplegic. So some of the root causes of begging these days, one, we have IDPs as a result of insurgency, banditry, communal clashes, that people are dispossessed of their own possessions, including foodstuff, even their places, their residential places, their posts to become destitute somewhere. No food to eat, nowhere to stay, no any capital to do any business. So they became temporarily destitute, depending on soliciting what to eat. That's in the recent times. But in the past, it was typically attitudinal. People that choose to be lazy and became what? Liability to themselves and to the society. These are the people that they all rally around to some people that have it. You see people gathering on somebody's, maybe an honorable or a highly placed personality gathering in his house, either on a weekly basis or on a daily basis, begging for what to, which resulted in people going to the streets. In fact, in the almost 20 years back in Abuja, at every junction you reach, you will meet not less than 30 beggars. You see women with children displaying them on the street, even cooking at the media, cooking food, warming leftover food of yesterday night in the morning, at the medium of the street with their children, attracting public sympathy just in order to extort money. That is during the daytime. And in the night, the same thing. You see them around plazas, shopping centers, and the like, wherever there is public gathering. Even at some drinking joint, you see beggars going around. So some of the root causes: one, attitude. Two, this issue of banditry that forces people to become destitute. And there are other economic destitute themselves. These economic destitutes, they are in the class of the lazy ones, because they have no reason to beg.
How about the impact of the family, direct family?
Well, the impact of begging in general is not just to the family, it's to the society as a whole. Because some beggars, when they beg and get this money, they don't invest. They worship the money. Just keep it. What I mean by worshiping, you gather a huge amount of money, just stock it, keep it, hide it without investing it. It's economic sabotage. In the recent past, we are television stations, including NTA and some other radio stations, they have covered the time we apprehended a beggar with huge amount of money. She was having, one of them was having 500,000 naira cash, different Nigerian denomination, stocked. And it's not something that she got it over a day or a week or a month. The money had been there for long. The time we apprehended that woman, she was busy begging her fellow beggar by the side pieces of bread to eat. You can imagine that. It is not economic sabotage. You have such a huge amount of money, you did not invest it.
Let's look at the impact of the family on those persons that are indulging in this act. What kind of impact do you think the family has given to them?
It has a lot of impact.
What I mean, how they were brought up. Bringing them up. Don't you think it starts from there?
Well, when I say attitude, why I say attitude, this same woman that we apprehended with that huge amount of money, her own children, biological children, are cash crop farmers. They are into both dry season and rainy season farming. Her own biological son, the second child, came in order to take his mother home. She was ashamed of herself to be identified with him. Yet he wasn't ashamed because she's his mother. But the woman denied him instant. She said she doesn't even know him. And he's her biological son, even her second child. Until when we call her senior brother, who identified the son as her own biological son, and the man was her senior brother. If you look at it, they were ashamed of their own person being a beggar, because when they told the people in the village, she went to Abuja for business. What they tagged this begging in the city is business. It's just like a job. After closing in the late evening, if you meet beggars discussing, they will not be saying that they went to beg. They went to, where did you go and work today? You can imagine, where did you go and work?
So it's a work.
And you know the word work is something that you do for a pay, isn't it? It's a kind of services you render. And then a beggar considered himself as somebody going to work. That's what they target. Where did you work today? Where did you work today? And sometimes you see that, you hear them discussing, deliberating that everything costs. But you can imagine somebody giving you 5 naira or 10 naira because you are a beggar. Who sent you? Is it by force?
Let's look at the role of social welfare department. Very recent, we know about orphanage homes. We know about people with less disabilities. We know about the centers you have. We know recently you talked about the mandate secretary for Social Development Center, Dr. Ibrahim Aminu Masari, I think providing or rehabilitating structures of people affected with leprosy.
Let me clear it for you.
Okay.
Social welfare is a department, and it's the department under Social Development Secretariat. And Social Development Secretariat is the arm of FCT administration that deal with the human component among the vulnerable people. These vulnerable people, be it older persons, persons with disability of all categories, mentally challenged, destitute, these street boys, beggars alike. These are some of the vulnerable that Social Development Secretariat dealt with. Last Friday, Ibrahim Aminu Masari, together with the Executive Secretary, National Disability Commission, or National Commission for Persons with Disability, that is the correct, went to Yongoji, Alheri Special Village. Alheri Special Village is a settlement, FCT settlement for persons affected with leprosy. What they went there to do is to lay foundation for the reconstruction of the toilet facilities for all the village. The whole village is meant for them and their families, persons with disability, persons affected with leprosy. We went there. Ibrahim Aminu Masari, on behalf of the FCT administration, together with the Executive Secretary, National Commission for Persons with Disability, and the representative of the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, were there for that laying foundation for the renovation and the reconstruction of the toilet facilities and the roofing, or I can say renovation of the entire village facilities, including the school, because they have the school for their children. And that school for their children is not only limited to them. Even the children of Koroko, the neighboring village, are free there, because it's a public school. Although the stigma makes some people not to, but they were made to understand when their children are healthy, because according to health experts, person with leprosy, after undergoing certain period of treatment, his condition will no longer be contagious. So you can even shake with a hand with him. We were enlightened by health, professionals. They made to understand that, and we're advocating for people to equally understand the same, so that that stigma will be raised away.
Okay.
So when they are just for their welfare, governance is not just to give or just to become your security to protect you. Providing certain services, including sourcing for someone who can add value to the life of the members of the public. Providing an enabling ground whereby philanthropists, donor agencies, non-governmental organizations can equally participate in order to uplift the life of the vulnerable to the better. And what we went there, we did was lay foundation in order to upgrade their living standard, because their storage facilities were bad and their roofings were equally, obsolete. Whenever it is raining, they used to have problem of where to hide until when the rain is over.
So Assistant, your department or center has so much enormous duties concerning social welfare, especially right here in the FCT, and of course the whole of the country and the other parts. You have similar departments of such. We as at home, I'm still with Dr. Sani Ama, of course, Director of Social Welfare Development Center. We are still on the issue of street begging, and of course, digressing to other issues. I'll get your last answer because time not one aside. Let's look at funding for your department. Let's look at your activities, and let's look at what does the future, just tomorrow, portend for us. As in, is there any hope that the department could remedy the issue of street begging, the issue of social welfare in general? To some certain extent, let's look at right now. You tell us the percentage you think we are in, and of course how you think we could cover this in a short time, and of course FCT will become center of attraction to the rest of the other states. Let's get that few words from you before we wrap up.
Thank you. As per the funding, everything in government business is tied on a limited budget provision. And you cannot do anything beyond what is provided for you. But in all honesty, due to this banditry insurgency, the influx of people into the FCT, because it's considered to be more safer than areas in the northwest and northeast, and even some part of north central, Abuja is considered more safer, despite the fact that in some locations in Abuja we do have issue of bandits. For the influx of people affected or displaced, as I make the beggars to become, overpopulated. So the budgetary provision is more or less overstretched. It's overstretched. That's why even we do solicit for support from philanthropists, other members of the public. But one thing, we always discourage people from giving street beggar, because by so doing you are not helping him, you are either encouraging him, because people take it to be a business now, not just for you to how about you eat and go. People have target to be a full-fledged business. But from that woman will start the amount. There's another woman we apprehended with much more money than her. This one, she was having 673,000 naira. Cash, Nigerian currency. And when you see the money, you can't believe that she has 10,000. You can't even say she has 3,000 naira in her pocket. But she had it in her consignment that she hid. So what we are soliciting from the members of the public is discouraging giving to the beggars on the street. You want to do charity, go to the hospitals.
How do we meet up to maybe reducing this menace of street begging, of course, the issue of social welfare?
Well, and on the part of the FCT administration, Social Development Secretariat have an enforcement unit in the under social welfare department, where we go around to apprehend and remove beggars and do what? Repatriation to their respective state of origin. Even yesterday, our team of social workers repatriated quite a number of destitute, some even to the southwest, some to the northeast, some to the northwest. That was yesterday. Quite a number of them have gone out for repatriation. We take them back. So that is on the part of the government. And on the part of the members of the public, you want to do charity, please go to the hospitals or go to any of our clusters. We have Yangojiwa, we have this person with affected with leprosy. At Karamajiji, we have colony for visually impaired and physically challenged. And then we have orphanages under gender department, under the same FCTA. And we have a rehabilitation center at Buari. So when you want to do charity, you can go there. And the social welfare still, we have another training we are into for these almajiris, so that they will no longer be on the street begging. If you look at it, the population of this almajiri going to the junction, these young boys with the plate, has reduced drastically.
Yeah, we can see that.
What we are into is training them with some skills in order to fend for themselves.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for attending the program. I believe our viewers at home, of course, they've been sensitized and, of course, enlightened as it concerns this. We'll do more of this subsequently, sir. Well, viewers at home, of course, I've been with Dr. Sani Ama, of course, is the Director of Social Welfare Department here in the FCT. We'll be looking at street begging, the menace of street begging, the impact, and, of course, the way forward. Join me same time next week on the program Perspective. Until then, enjoy the rest of the program, and bye for now.